Hi, I'm glad you're here. Today we are going to talk a little bit about coaching as well as the GROW model, and we are going to get started. I'm going to share my screen so we can jump right into this. Here we go. All right. So let's get right into it. When we talk about coaching, we know that just like leadership and the definition of leadership, coaching has changed through the ages and phases. It is considered in the helps department. It is for people who are looking really to be forward focused with their goal setting and with their commitment to attaining their goals. And as you see here, there are different definitions of coaching. The last couple here I'd like to just make mention to partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. That is through the International Coach Federation, and that is the body that has been kind of instructed to kind of keep an eye on coaching, where the research is going. It is a certifying body, so people can get certified through the International Coach Federation. There are different training programs that are ICF compliant, and those are certainly it's noted as the best standard of coaching. And then we have the Christian Coaching International Network, and for those of you who are faith-based, Christian coaching is a professional relationship focused on empowering a person or group to affect change, create new awareness, move into action, and step into abundant Christian life in business and in personal areas. And they are the body where Christian coaches can go and learn and grow in their coaching. So these definitions, they all may have some similarities as well as some differences. Just like leadership, that definition is always being cultivated based on research and the new information that we are finding. What we do know is coaching is different than any other helps profession. So when we think about the helps profession, we think about not just coaching, but discipleship, counseling, consulting, and mentoring. And these areas all have specific roles to play. And when we think about coaching, coaching is different than these other helps. And the way that it comes out in the wash is that the client is the expert, and we always want to remember that. So, and the discipler, is the expert. The counselor, the therapist under counseling is the expert. In consulting, that consultant is the expert. They have gone, through programs or schools to be the expert. And then the mentor is also the expert under mentoring. And then, what is the training? What is the relationship? What is the method of communication, focus, goal, and expected outcome? And when you take a look at all of these, when we look at coaching as a profession, we know that, like I said, the client is the expert. There is different training that a coach needs to go through, and credentialing is available to somebody who is looking to really, hone their skills in coaching. The relationship for a coach is definitely professional. It is one-on-one, though there is group coaching, there is organizational coaching that can, spread through the organization, and there is team coaching, which, although is not listed on there, it is something that is very near and dear to my heart. Method of communication for coaches is sometimes it's face-to-face. More coaching is done on the phone or on platforms like this, like Zoom, where you can actually see and feel that you are more connected with your coach. The focus is always forward looking. When we think about coaching, we don't spend a lot of time looking in the rear view mirror. We want to position people for success. We want to position people uh, that are aligned with their goals. We want to position people so they are having that self-reflection, having self-awareness, gaining insight so they can promote themselves through the phases of their life, through the phases of their leadership, and can meet with success. And of course, the goal always varies. So when we think about goal setting, we always want to be putting it to our client. So what is the client's goal? The coach does not come up with the goal. If you can remember anything from this segment, this is what you want to remember, that the goal is up to the client, because the client is the expert. Like we talked about, the client knows what they will and will not do. That can be, you can, as a coach, can be saying, here is some homework that I would like you to consider. Is this something that you will, you know, do? The client is going to know whether or not they feel that there's value in certain aspects of the coaching relationship. So it's always good to be mindful of that and understand that they are the expert. They're the ones who are making the decisions in the relationship of coach and client. And then the expected outcome for coaching is definitely different, as you can see with these different helps professions. So goal achievement is the goal for coaching. You want to position people forward. They have the goal. We want to help them and walk with them through that process so they can attain their goal. When we look at discipleship, they want to become more like Jesus. In counseling, it's healing. In consulting, it's solutions. And of course, we always want the solutions to be accepted and implemented in those organizations. And then in mentoring, it is maturity within the expected role. So what is it that the mentee needs from the mentor? So those are a little bit about the differences between coaching and the other helps professions. And so when we look at a new standard for leaders, it is definitely leader as coach. So we want to think about coaching as we're doing more coaching, we're having more conversations than actual training in the workplace. Although training has its place, we want to always remember that we are placed as leaders to develop our people. And so we develop our people not so much through training, although as I said, training is important. There are certain skills that can be trained, just like a coaching is a skill, but it's also a profession. So we want to look at how can we kind of do a mindset shift for what is our new standard in the workplace. So coaching more than training. And when we say coaching, coaching is a strategy. Coaching does improve growth and performance. Coaching is done through consistent conversations between you and the person that you are coaching. We also want to look at coaching as having a growth mindset. So it's not that stagnant thinking. Like I said, not looking in the rearview mirror. Although there are times when we have to look at history and say, okay, where were we? Where do we want to go? Or what worked for us in the past? And how can we get to our goal based on what we know is true based on experience? And then we also know that everybody needs to receive coaching. So in the workplace, it's important for these conversations to be just happening. They don't have to be scheduled. They can be meeting in the hallway, and it could be just a coaching question is being posed, so that conversation gets moving and you're helping your people get to their goals. So when we think about competencies for coaching, the ICF, the International Coach Federation, does have an outline of different competencies that across the board, if you are going to call yourself coach, these are areas that must be implemented into your coaching. So you want to be setting the foundation. You want to be co-creating the relationship, communicating effectively, and facilitating learning and results. In each of these areas, they have uh, competencies within the A, B, C, and D, that fall under them. And so a coach who is looking at this as not a pastime, but as a profession, and even though you may be looking at this and say, yes, I want to implement some coaching strategies, these are areas where you really want to be kind of unpacking for yourself so you can have a fruitful coaching conversation with the people that you will be coaching, the people who are in your environment. And remember, coaching doesn't have to be just in the workplace. Coaching can be done at home. Coaching can be done with your volunteer teams. And you don't have to be considered a leadership position, because remember, we are all leaders, right? We all should be having that mindset shift of being a leader of leaders. So how can we, as being a leader of leaders, really be taking our people on a journey, regardless of your rank? So when we think about the GROW model, super simple model for coaching, and the G is for goal. And so again, we want to make sure that that goal is being set by the individual, not you as the coach. We want to, help them understand, what does success look like for you? How do we gauge success? What is that going to look like? Paint me a picture of what success is going to look like. How does the person know that they're going to be successful? And again, sometimes, you do take a look at the past and say, okay, what does or did success look like in the past? And maybe, is that what we're going to attain? Is that something that we want that to look or feel like, or is there something else? And then, how important is it for the person that you're coaching really to achieve this goal? What could it mean to them? These are all questions that can be asked to help your client come up with a goal. And then, of course, there are SMART goals, that can be done, and that is a form that I can certainly provide for you. If it's something that you are interested in, you can just shoot me an email, and I'd be happy to provide you with that. So R is for reality. So what is the reality? When we think about coaching, right, everybody has a different reality. Just because you have something in your mind doesn't mean that your client is going to think the same way. And that goes back to, the client is the expert of their life. The client knows what work they will put in order for them to attain a goal. So, what is the reality of their current situation, and what led to the situation? There's always obstacles, regardless of where we are in life. There's always going to be something that comes up, and really addressing what those obstacles have been faced in the past, and maybe what they see coming up that could be an obstacle. Those are things to unpack with your client. Another question is, why did you make this decision? Right? So why is it that you want to attain this goal? What does it mean to you? And how has your decision affected you? So if there is, maybe something going on in their life, we are all affected by external forces as well as internal forces. So really unpacking that and having a better understanding of the reality of what your client is going through. And then O can be for options or opportunities. So when we look at the goal, when we look at, what are some opportunities or options that the client can discuss with you, this is all about conversation. It's all about setting the client up for success. So what are the options? What are the opportunities? The pros and cons of the option that they're talking about, and what might some of those constraints be? Because as we talked about just a few moments ago, obstacles, constraints, right? So what are some of those? Let's really get it on the table and unpack what those are, so we have a better understanding of a way forward. And what do you see as the best way forward? The client knows. The client is the expert. So what do they see as the best way forward for them as an individual? And then W is for, will or a way forward. So, what actions is the client willing to take? When are they going to begin? So in those, uh, when you're formulating those goals, or the goal with the client, they need to put a date on it. They need to say when they're going to start this. And of course, with goals, we always like to put an end date on it as well. They have to be, time specific. So understanding when that client will begin the work, and and it doesn't have to be a firm end date, but there should be an end date, because then as the client moves forward, they can always adjust that end date based on the work that has been completed. And then this is always a great question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you of achieving your goal? Because as we know, if somebody lacks confidence with their goal, there's a pretty good indication that they're not going to be successful. So if the score is low, 1 being low, if it's 1 to 5, let's really define the reason why they're not confident in that. And that is some more work that you will do with your client, so we can raise that level of confidence for them. So that is what we have for the Grow model. I want to make sure that you have an understanding that coaching is so much more than just the Grow model. It is. It is, yes, in the helps profession. Yes, it is a skill that all leaders should have in their toolbox for them to use. And it is a skill, so it does need to be practiced. There's a lot more that goes into coaching, but using the Grow model is a really super simple way for you to have a little more fruitful conversations with the people in your charge, and for you to be, just using the Grow model as a way to help yourself, because you can do self-coaching with that, as well as help, as I said, the people in your charge move ahead so they can be successful in whatever it is that they are looking to achieve. So if you are ready for an appointment, you can always schedule that at bellum.as.me, and you can uh, go ahead and find a convenient time for us to meet, and I'd be happy to discuss anything more with you. So until next time, I'll see you soon. Have a great day.